Goodman Productions, all rights reserved. Please do not reproduce in any other way with Goodman Productions and GoodmanImage.com permission. All rights reserved. Bart shooting trial has ended. He has been convicted with second-degree murder. He is spending 4 to 12 years in prison. Downtown Oakland, there has been many riots, fires, all that happening. Newspaper stands getting knocked over, banks getting robbed. Tons of angry citizens have been doing graffiti, robbing banks, and tons more. We got a couple interviews with a couple local civilians that experienced it. Let's take a listen of our interview.
We drove downtown around 9:40, 9:45 at night on the 8th of July, 2010, wondering what might be going on downtown. When we got downtown, we saw the police lined up with riot gear all along Broadway, which is the main thoroughfare of downtown. They'd blocked off several key areas of it near BART stops and were facing in both directions, facing north and south, holding the line across the entirety of the street. When we first got down there, there was not much distressing action or much seeming outpouring of distress. There were people on street corners or people meandering around. There were certainly more pedestrians than there ever usually are at night in downtown Oakland, but there did not seem to be any unrest yet. We'd been driving around for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. We'd come to a few different roadblocks where we were needed to turn around or had to turn onto a side street instead of continuing straight because of the police barricades. When we heard two sounds that sounded like gunshots, but we figured they couldn't be because we didn't see the police line move at all. We drove in that direction and saw that a couple of metal newspaper stands had been knocked over and were sort of blocking the street. There was then a man, looked to be maybe in his early 30s or late 20s, spray painting something on the ground. We couldn't see what it was, but I was imagining it might be a protest of some sort, like a pro-Oscar Grant protest. We circled back around toward Broadway since it seemed like any main action might happen there, since that's where the police were, and any altercation might be likely to happen on Broadway. It's also where the BART stops let out. So we had circled back to Broadway several times. We circled back again and saw that down maybe by around 12th Street or 15th Street, there were some fires. We were up by 20th Street and could just look down past the police lines to see the fires. We didn't get to totally know what they were. I was imagining they might be some newspaper stands that had been caught on fire. Again, the police seemed not concerned about them. They seemed to be holding their line, which I thought was really interesting. So it suggested to me that even if there was some protesting going on, even if there were some people being riled up, that the police weren't yet worried. That's at least what it looked like to me. After watching the fires for a few minutes to see if there's going to be any change in the dynamic between the police and the protesters or just the people on the street, if they're going to take any move to stop the fires or something, we decided to turn and do some more driving around. I was going to see if I could get us on the other side of the police lines and get closer to the fires to see what was happening. So we turned east onto 20th Street, heading towards Webster. When we got to Webster, there was a stoplight. We stopped and saw a bunch of protesters kind of heading down the street, taking up the middle of the street. There was a bank to our left, and we saw somebody with a cloth covering his face, go up to one of the windows and try kind of half-heartedly to break the window, and then he turned and shrugged to his friend, and the friend then walked up. His friend walked up and seemed to have some kind of hammer or something wrapped in cloth, and he then really took a good whack at the window of the bank, broke the window, whacked it a couple more times, and then went running off. Again, this was a white man with a ponytail. We drove off when the light changed and saw the police marching in a full line across the street, coming down the cross street as we drove away toward the bank.